Greetings and welcome to the energy of Cancer. The fourth house is open, which is essentially a house of containment in which the cardinal energy of water can express itself through a containing mechanism. This is the first step to moksha, which is the gateway into looking into the inner divine, as well as into looking with the properties of the elements of nurture through the cardinal motion of motherly love, okay? The interesting thing is that the polarity in terms of the finger of God that is pointed to tends to bring in opposing characters, okay, that may be significant of another, that deals with the 10th house, okay? So these are karmic in nature. Usually when the gateway of the womb, let's say, after conception or during conception is opened, there is essentially a responsibility, okay, that is tied to sacrificial modes that have to do with the sacrificing of one state of being in order to find a gateway into another, in which the seed that is planted in a yoni, in a womb, essentially takes fertilization, okay, and this brings in the fertile ground that Cancer is privy to in terms of nesting, uh, um, the materiality that can host consciousness comes in. Okay, and this is a very special thing. The finger of God, however, points to the houses that, according to the Yod formation, point to significations, planetary significations, aspects that are related to the 11th, ninth, and the 11th houses. Okay, this has to do with fostering a relationship with opposing forces that is opposite to the energy of Cancer in the fourth house, to the 10th house, to the ninth, and the 11th. Okay, this speaks of progression of truth or a progression of a philosophy that is understood, say, in motherhood, in order to foster a very strong goal, okay, a strong end game, if you will, that speaks of bringing in a generational truth, okay? And this is what we see opposing the fourth house. And perhaps you bring forward seekers of this collective idealism, okay, to manifest in their own way, fiercely independent, explorative in nature, passionate, their own ends. Okay, this has to do with communal ends. Okay, the idea of liberation of that culminates into not only Saturn's energy, not only in Jupiter's energy, but pointing to Uranic energy, which is futuristic in nature. Okay, so there's a futuristic drive that encompasses the energy of the moon, that is the main planet or graha that rules over Cancer, and you tend to bring forward these types of individuals, okay, at least in this particular interpretation, this reading. So we'll go ahead and look into that, but we will be looking into the Great Mirror, which is a 9-card spread designed by the Order of the Twin Sun in order to see particularities that are conscious or unconscious in nature, okay, that have to do with karma. Speaking of which, we'll look into the current path in terms of Dharma and how things are panning out for the energy of Cancer in the month of February/March of 2022. Okay, so there's a way of doing things in terms of naturalisms, okay? What I mean by this is that there's a way to be inclined by your relation to the natural world around you, by creating and fostering a detail-oriented approach uh, and a method in the way you deal with realities. And this is the central nexus of what's going on. Meaning that if reality seems abstract to you, there's a way to hone in and become skillful in some way, shape, or form in order to pay attention to these realities that Cancer would have to deal with. Okay, this has to do with the path of the student as well as Mercury and Virgo, so a type of intelligence that encompasses your dealings, your daily dealings. Okay, and this is a very good thing considering that you are coming from a place that is potentially dry. There's a dry spell here. There's a need to vent out and find an emotional nexus, catharsis, a way of really understanding why there may be a gloom around you. In the past, there's a way of doing things that you have perhaps ventured out into trying to know and trying to observe and purify, okay, past paths, things that no longer serve you. Now there's an ability to move through in a very practical way anything that may be sufficient or that may sustain a sense of whole being, wellness in terms of your emotional capacities as well as your creative capacities. But there's mastery to be had here. So there's a way of approaching in a type of daily routine, very good and very, very powerful ways of seeing details and knowing that these details have some sort of procedure. There's a way of analysis of your daily routines that can lead you into essentially what I see here, finding a type of truth and a power, okay, that comes with the way you contain things, the way you bring forward a sense of wholeness, okay, in the dry spell that may be now, okay. So it could be that things are boring or things are essentially stagnant in some sort of way, but if you practice a regime that is based on daily isms, okay, I'm talking about daily rituals like even brushing teeth or taking a shower. There's something about this that will foster a mercurial activation that is a very sharp mind, a sharp wit. And perhaps there are a lot of daily routines that can be meditative in nature that would help you on this path. That is what I'm seeing for Dharma. Let's see. So we shall move into the main segment of this reading. The introduction is over. And we'll look into primarily the connection of Cancer and a significant other. The significant other can be a person, place, a thing, a lover, a friend, anything like that. We'll see how deep this goes. Usually I like to structure this out in terms of conscious, subconscious, and unconscious realms. And we can see within the mirror how there may be reflections or perhaps refractions in terms of energetic responses between two people. Okay, that is namely yours as well as a significant other. Okay. If there's a path here of burden, um, there is certainly something about the way you do what it is you do that is lifting this burden. But perhaps that is the obstacle in the path. Okay. Meaning that uh, your letting loose of a great burden when it comes to heaviness of the heart will actually allow for uh, for freedom, for purification. Okay, there's something about what you're doing here that feels potentially like a burnout, potentially like there's a saturation of it all, especially when it comes to, once again, the heaviness of the heart that can allow for freedom. But then this feels like an obstacle for you. So there is a type of responsibility that you maybe feel inclined to this type of connection on a conscious level, okay? You are pulling in someone here who, much like you, has been through much of the self analysis mode on a conscious level. There's something about them that wants to speak truth and observe in a very still place, much like you. Some of this energetic sort of nullification, this equilibrium that comes about through very deep, insightful practice. Okay, this has to do with meditation as well as deep inner looking and knowing. There's something that they want to say as well that may deal with something that is tied to, let's see here, a way of doing things that will bring about an intensified way of balance. Okay. Usually, this speaks of a very deep and spiritual path that has to do with deep insights that is tied to the Seven of Cups. Usually, that indicates very intense realizations, but they are abstract in nature. Something about this person is very abstract, but they are willing to convey some sort of message about a structure or a way of doing things that is resonant with practicalities, but also this is guided by higher forces, especially Mercury. Lots of Mercury in uh, your reading so far, especially in the path of Dharma. Okay, now if Cancer is dealing with Mercury, there's something about conjunctions. Okay, between Mercury and Moon. Okay, that could provide deep insights, flashes of inspiration, insights that that are emotive in nature, but also intellectually charged. Okay, emotional intelligence. Okay. And this can be a very intense thing. You could be dealing with someone that has this, and perhaps they observe this in you. Okay, meaning that what emerges between you two. Okay, and this came twice already. Three of Cups in reverse is some form or another of questioning whether things around you are obstacles. Okay, being very insightful and questioning the path. Okay, um, usually this is a type of contemplation, but also there's something about it that relates to a need to escape, to get away from the drudgery of responsibilities. Okay, and perhaps there's something about this connection that resembles a way or means through the Three of Cups in reverse. Okay, usually, this indicates splitting of ways, the path in the High Priestess here. Very beautiful card, by the way. I love this High Priestess, my favorite of the deck. Is indicated by understanding the method of why people do things the way they do. If the path that you are walking in particular, this person may be a type of healer, distant, and the type of connection is very psychic in a way, but they are activated by Mercury, Virgo energy, as well as Pisces on the opposite, meaning that there are paths that need to be tread, okay, that is independent in nature, okay. Um, so that is what I'm seeing so far on a conscious level, and perhaps because of this, there's a type of sadness about it, whatever this relationship is, this significant other, and you are or are not. Let's see. Deep down inside, there is a very intense attraction between you two. It's Taurian in nature, meaning that it has to do with what can be practically sort of um, exchanged. And perhaps there's a subtle energy here that speaks of subtle forms of happiness, of radiance, of glory, also of intensity. So it's a subtle intensity here that points to a type of union. Now, the interesting thing is that we have two cards of Gemini here, if you want to read into it, as well as Leo. Um, Speaking of mutability, okay, we have here the card of Foi as well as Union, which is essentially the cards of the Sun in reverse as well as, excuse me, uh, sorry, yeah, it's the Sun or the Star in reverse rather, and the Union card, which is the Lover's card in reverse. Okay, so this speaks about subtle energies that are tied to changeability. They are extremely fluid in nature. Okay, or they can bend accordingly. And if these are subtle energies, it means that the sun is hidden or the star is hidden. Okay, it can be veiled by clouds, not necessarily so in this connection, but it speaks about a subtle softness. Okay, and it speaks about a union that does not have to be labeled by social nomenclature. Okay, and this is a very it's a very ominous sort of thing to have this, because the attraction is extremely strong. Okay, whomever you've attracted here, it is almost intoxicating, or it's something of unwilling. It doesn't have anything to do with your will. It is against your will, or perhaps it's something that you have been possessed by, both of you. And because of such, especially with the heightening of the second and third houses, okay, this speaks about skillfulness of the mind that emerges from the subtlety. Okay, you can learn from this connection about a great number of things, but particularly your own sensualities, your own sensibilities, and how you can become a master of these distractions, if you will. Not to say that this person is a distraction. I think there's something about them that is projective in nature. They have a tendency to have a dreamlike quality on a very deep level that is extremely intoxicating. The thing is that if the sun is set, then perhaps the day is done, and further, there's something about this connection that requires the movement from the seventh to the ninth houses. Okay, usually this indicates the eighth house, which has to do with transformative qualities, but it's not here. Okay, meaning that there's a lot of flexibility with this type of connection. Okay, meaning that a lot can be done in subtlety or in ways that are intended to change one person or another, but not with the destructive force of Pluto in the eighth house. And the eighth house, there's something here, okay, that can emerge in terms of a truth that needs to be spoken, especially by them. Some sort of divine orchestration that is outside of realistic principles, principles of realistic cause and effect. Okay, it doesn't work that way in this type of connection. And perhaps there's something about you that wants to change in terms of the King of Cups energy as well as the Ace of Cups. There's a type of mutability in it in which there could emerge an unconditional way of live and let live, of go and let go. Okay, within this type of connection, which can be terribly destabilizing in terms of what you bring to the table. Okay, what you could bring is essentially the sense of a new sun after the day is done. And it's something that you may be negotiating with Lady Justice, okay, with someone who intends to be, in all fairness, um, someone who is balanced or wants to balance out your energy, and perhaps they want to change something about you that would provide an element of self-love or nurturing or growth in some sort of way. Okay. The advice is to not let the coldness of fear point to what has potentially died in this type of connection. Okay. There is an intensity that is subtle and it will be forever suppressed by them, and it seems to be outside of your control. Not to say that you want to control it. There's something about them that is fixed in releasing coldness, releasing this intensity. Perhaps there's something very cold and exacting about their emotional projections that are mostly secret in nature. They are hidden in nature. There's a lot of cold distance that I feel, objectivity, distance, no subjective sort of placements do I see from this person. Uh, that is what I see for the time being. Wishing you well in terms of your path and your quest for balance and equilibrium and order. Uh, Remember to perhaps use the sharp wit that is being gifted to you now to understand whether or not this type of connection is worthy of your further criticism or your further analysis, and perhaps there's time to use a pair of scissors as opposed to run with them. Okay, that is what I see. Thank you. Bye bye.